2 hours had already passed by the time Dominic Sharp arrived at the crematorium. His clothes were slightly disheveled, and there was a bright lipstick print on his collar point. One could easily tell that he just had a passionate moment with another woman. After tracking down an employee of the crematorium, Dominic asked mockingly, "So, where's Ophelia Burton's urn? Didn't you call me to come pick it up?" After the employee made sure that Dominic was the right person, he passed him the urn which contained my ashes. Dominic accepted the urn casually. His eyes were still filled with mockery. "Is this really Ophelia's urn? Maybe you're just tricking me by filling this urn with ashes belonging to some poor bastard." The employee was bewildered to hear such a statement. "Mr. Sharp, this urn does contain Miss Burton's ashes. We have everything recorded down. Would you like to take a look at them?" Dominic smirked. "It's fine. I trust you." I let out a sigh of relief. I didn't know why, but my soul still lingered in the mortal realm despite being dead. After thinking for a while, I concluded that maybe it was because I wasn't officially buried. Dominic should believe that I was dead by now. No matter how much he hated my guts, he should take our past relationship into consideration and have me buried somewhere random, right? Before I could cheer at that prospect, I heard Dominic's surprised gasp. The urn fell from his hands and crashed into the floor, causing my ashes to scatter everywhere. His smirk now malicious, Dominic said, "Oops, sorry about that. It slipped from my hands." After that, he stuck out a foot and began grinding my ashes down. My breath was hitched in my throat as I met Dominic's eyes, which were devoid of any mirth. I opened my mouth, yet I couldn't make a sound. Only when my ashes were completely ground into the gaps between the tiles and mixed with the dust did Dominic retract his foot. There was a pleased look on his face. He continued smiling as he addressed the shocked employee. "Tell Ophelia that while this scheme is pretty original, it's also a total failure. My mom's death anniversary will be here in a few days. She'd better show up before my mom's grave and atone for her sins there. Otherwise, I don't mind digging her body up and making her kneel before my mom's grave even if she truly were dead." The threat was filled with so much malice and coldness that it could easily invoke fear within anyone who heard it. I knew very well that Dominic was a man of his word. He'd definitely carry that threat out. It was at that point I was filled with relief, knowing that my body had already been cremated before the employee could argue with Dominic. The latter received a phone call and left the crematorium. Weirdly enough, my soul was forced to follow him. Left without a choice, I could only sit in the front passenger seat while listening to Dominic chatting with the woman on the other end of the line. I knew that woman's voice well. It belonged to Isabel Sharp, the adoptive daughter of the Sharp family. When Dominic and I were still in love with each other, Isabel had sought me out and told me to leave Dominic. I refused to do that, so she began targeting me by spreading rumors about me and my company. She even hired random people to corner me. Once Dominic found out about me getting bullied, he taught Isabel a painful lesson. He also stated that if Isabel dared to bully me again, he'd chase her out. Only then did Isabel cease her madness. Dominic's expression grew colder when I was mentioned. "Why did you bring her up? You're just ruining the mood right now. Besides, it's not as if she's really dead." "But what if she really is dead? What will you do, Dominic?" Isabel's probing tone came from the other end of the line. My heart tensed at the question. I turned around instinctively to look at Dominic. That if this were to happen in the past, Dominic's heart would throb in pain if he were to see me getting a cut on my hand, let alone envision the possibility of me dying. He once told me that I was his precious treasure and that he'd love and cherish me forever. But now Dominic just sneered. "Then I'll throw a party that'll last for 3 days and nights. After that, I'll bombard the skies with all the fireworks in the world just to celebrate her death." I widened my eyes in disbelief. Only now did I fully realize the extent of Dominic's hatred toward me. He hated me so much that he thought my death would be a celebratory occasion. But the thing was, I was really dead. It was just that Dominic refused to believe it. The car stopped outside a wedding boutique. Dominic strode into the boutique in wide steps soon enough. The way he moved so hurriedly reminded me of the day he took me to the wedding boutique after we secretly got our marriage licenses at the city hall. Back then, he couldn't wait to see how I looked in a wedding gown. He had pulled me into his arms excitedly and told me that I was the most beautiful bride in the world. But now, he gazed tenderly at Isabel, who was clad in a wedding gown of her own. He tucked a lock of hair behind her ear before praising her in a gentle tone. "You look beautiful." Isabel lowered her head while smiling bashfully. When she looked up at Dominic once again, there were tears in her eyes. "Dominic, I finally get to marry you." Shock was written all over my face. I could only watch Isabel leaning in to kiss Dominic on the cheek. I wanted nothing more than to stop the kiss from happening, but my hand ended up phasing through Dominic's body. Flabbergasted, I just watched as he slid the ring onto Isabel's middle finger. How could this happen? Why was Dominic marrying Isabel? That woman was the actual culprit who killed Dominic's mother. "Dominic Sharp, wake up." I opened my mouth while screaming at Dominic hoarsely. A mixture of sorrow and rage inhibited my senses at that moment. But soon my emotions died down to numbness. I could only watch what happened next numbly. Isabel admired herself in the mirror excitedly. Suddenly she asked, "By the way, Dominic, is she all right?" We all knew who she referred to. Dominic's expression was still stony. In fact, he was starting to become impatient. "Of course she's all right. That was just a little stunt she pulled. Are we still inviting her to our wedding then?" Dominic lowered his gaze in order to conceal the emotions in his eyes. A malicious smirk soon appeared on his face. "Of course. She's a VIP after all." I knew right away that Dominic wanted me to witness his wedding in person. After all, his wedding was something I had been looking forward to partaking in. Back then, Dominic's mother, Miranda O'Reilly, didn't give us her blessings to get married. So we got our marriage licenses without throwing a wedding of our own. After that, having an actual wedding with Dominic became an unattainable dream for me due to Madame Miranda's death. She died of a heart attack. On the night she died, it was shown that I was the last one she had called. That was why Dominic naturally assumed that I had angered Madame Miranda to the point she died. The day Madame Miranda was laid to rest, Dominic forced me to kneel before her grave for 24 hours. The downpour was extremely heavy that day. I remembered making eye contact with him in the rain. There was nothing but hatred in his dull eyes that he had told me, "Ophelia Burton, from today onward, you and I are mortal enemies." Since then, my status was reduced from Dominic's lover to his biggest enemy. He hated me and constantly humiliated me, yet he refused to let me leave his side. To make things worse, he even brought women home to spend the night with them. When Dominic noticed my reddened eyes, he smiled while patting my cheek mockingly. "Are you distraught, Ophelia? You caused this to happen. Who else can you blame but yourself?" I tried to explain myself, only for Dominic's actions to become more extreme. He never doubted the conclusion he drew simply because he knew that Madame Miranda disliked me. In fact, that woman had announced that she would never let me become a part of the Sharp family in this lifetime. Because of that, Dominic had fought with Madame Miranda many times in the past. He even went as far as to cut all ties with the Sharp family just to be with me. But to think that the woman he loved killed his own mother, how could he possibly accept that? After sending Isabel off, Dominic finally recalled my existence. He unblocked my number as though it was the most benevolent thing he had ever done in his life. Then he called my number with one hand while tapping on the steering wheel with the other. A few moments later, I watched Dominic's brows being knitted into a tight frown. He began slamming his hand onto the steering wheel, as though he was venting his frustrations. "How dare you ignore my call, Ophelia? You really have a death wish, huh?" But Dominic had no idea that I wasn't ignoring his call at all. I could never pick up any of his calls again.